Hi there, welcome to Floating in Books. Today I'm going to be sharing with you my top 10 recommendations for the fall time. Welcome to everybody watching today. Thank you so very much for joining me. These are going to be my favorite fall reads. Some of these are books I would like to get to myself, hopefully sometime this fall. And these are just the types of books that I get excited for when it becomes a little darker and gloomier. We've been having some colder, rainy weather in the past week or so, and I've been really enjoying sitting on the couch and just reading a book for that purpose. So these would be my picks, my recommendations. Some of these you know I love because I've recommended them before. And as I said, there are a couple of books in here that I'm super excited for because I would like to get to them myself. First things first is The Historian by Elizabeth Kostova. Here is what the cover looks like. This is an older book, so nobody ever talks about this anymore. I read this years ago myself, and it's essentially dark academia, I would say. It's written as a sort of post-mortem diary of a girl writing about her father who disappeared, and it becomes very clear really quickly that he's become entangled in, like, a certain rich gentleman's proclivities, who doesn't just collect books, but he also seems to collect academics. And it's sort of like vampiric, Dracula-inspired. So it's dark and gloomy, but it's also like a travel journal because her dad is trying to find out what happened to his PhD supervisor, because that's how the story starts. Her dad, who's a young academic, his PhD supervisor disappears. He's like kidnapped in the middle of the night from his study. And his dad and her dad is trying to find out what's happened to this guy. And in their journey, she becomes involved in the whole plot as well. And she's sort of writing it after her dad has pretty much had the same thing happen to him as what happened to his PhD professor. And they're traveling all across Europe by train to find out what has happened. So this is such a good epic story. It is a big one. And it's a bit of a slow burn as well. It's like over 700 pages. So it's not the most like quick-paced page turner that we very often see nowadays, but it's just a really well-researched, really good book. It's sort of like historical fiction combined with travel fiction, combined with dark academia, combined with like a gothic-y element. So this is totally up my street, and that's why I think it's perfect to get stuck into this on a rainy day in fall. Next up is a newer book that I just picked up. I was in Zwolle in September and I spotted this book, A Tempest of Tea by Hafsah Faizal. And this is about a woman who runs a tea room, but rather than serving tea, they serve blood. So it's somehow involved with like the underworld, vampires, all that stuff. It seems to have like a detective element, which you will find is something I enjoy in a lot of my fall reads as well. It was the cover that really drew me in. That's all I know about this book. I just saw it lying on a table in the bookstore I went to in Zwolle, and I was like, that might be something that's like a quick and easy read, and they had this one with the sprayed edges. I don't really care about the looks of my books necessarily. I care about the stories inside them. And this just sounded like a good like palate cleanser, something that's like a quick and easy read if I'm in a rut. Then of course we need to talk about some like horror and thriller things. This is by Riley Sager, The Only One Left. This is very popular online. I haven't read anything by this author. So when I spotted it, I was like, might as well give it a try. I haven't read this myself, but if there is a time of year to be reading, I think this is like a haunting house. It says here on the back, it's a heart-pounding gothic thriller from the master of suspense. I think it's like a haunted house sort of story. That's what I think it is. I'm not sure if I'm right about that. I've been wrong about books in the past because I try to stay away from online reviews as much as possible, mainly because a lot of the things that people hype up on like Book Talk or like BookTube or wherever it is you go, a lot of the hyped up books I have just found I don't like, so the more I already know about the book going into it, the more I'm going to be skewed in my opinions. So that's why I didn't want to know too much about it, but the cover looks fine, and the blurb on the back is just really selling it to me. So sort of like thriller-ish kind of fiction. Again, great for this time of year. Of course, we also need to talk about the classics. This is Sheridan Le Fanu's Carmilla. Now, I love a bit of a vampire story, but I've never read Carmilla myself. I have read a lot of Victorian era vampire stories, though. I've read an entire anthology, sort of like tracing where vampire stories came from, all the way into like leading up to like Dracula and stuff. I've read Dracula. I've read so many 20th century vampire stories. I've also read more recent vampire stories. Like, vampires and me, we kind of go hand in hand. So this is one of those ultimate classic vampire stories that I've never yet read, and apparently this has had a lot of influence on Dracula as well, so I would like to read it. It's not that big. Like, very often classics are these big chunky things, but yeah. It says here on the front, it's the dark sapphic romance that inspired Dracula. It's just one of those things I just never got around to. So I need to at some point. I don't think it's going to happen for me this time around. I definitely have already like an idea of what I would like to read next, which is actually in my little pile here. But yeah, this is just something that's still on the TBR for sure. If you like some body horror, check out this author. This is Ellison Rumfitt, and this is the story Brainworms. I also bought one of her other books when I was in Foyles. This one happens to be signed, apparently. And this was a strange book to read. So if you want something different, this is what I would go for. It just has a lot of body horror elements. We follow our main character who's trans, and she has these like fantasies about what she wants to do with her life. I'm not going to say too much about it, but there's a character who's obsessed with like bugs and infestations, hence the cover, and hence the title of the book. And then there's this weird sort of cult-like thing that is going to get caught up in the mix. It's a very strange book, but it was also a book that I couldn't put down. So this is very fast-paced. It's an incredibly quick story to read, so it was definitely something I could really like in a day and a half. It was fine. It's not that big either. But this is just the kind of thing where I'm like, am I like grossed out about it, or did I enjoy reading it? And I'm sort of like on the fence between the two. This wasn't a 5-star read or anything like that, but it's definitely something. If you want to try something different, I think you might like this. In a similar vein, but this falls more into like the litfic category for me than true horror, you could also read Bunny by Mona Awad. And this is about a girl who's just a bit of a loner. She falls outside of the group, and then she's at college, and there are these college sorority type girls who call themselves the Bunnies, and she becomes a bunny. This also has some really, really strange scenes in it that fall into the body horror category. There's a lot going on in here, and we just find out what's going on truly at the end. There's a twist that I'm not going to tell you too much about, but at the root of it, it's just an exploration of like human beings and like mental health and stuff like that underlies it, which I don't feel happens too much in the Brainworms book. The Brainworms book, I feel, has certain scenes that are just meant to shock you because they're so graphic. This also has graphic scenes, but they're sort of like sprinkled in for effect, rather than in the other book, it's sort of like the main premise. So if you don't want to be grossed out too much, but you don't mind there being gory parts, then this can be nice. And this definitely has an underlying sort of, like, if you can read between the lines with this one, there's a little bit more going on than just shock value. And the other book is definitely more shock value, I found. Then a book that's definitely on my TBR for November is V.E. Schwab's Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil. This apparently is also vampires. I don't know, but V.E. Schwab is one of my favorite authors, so whenever there's a new book by her, I need to read it. So that's why I wanted to put this one on the TBR list really, really soon. I am in the midst of another really chunky book right now. I'm almost finished. It's like 900 pages. And this one is over 500 as well. So it does have really short chapters. Now I look at it. But this is like 500 plus pages as well. So I actually want to read the next book I'm about to show you first. and then I want to get stuck into this one. So I sort of have my reading already planned out, and I still need to like finish a series before the end of the year. But what I realized as I was like starting a new book this week was that I've mainly been reading 500 plus novels this year. Like, no wonder my reading goal is nowhere in sight of me hitting it. I've only read about 30 books so far. But I've been reading chunky, like really big chunky novels the entire time. Like nothing has been like truly like shorter stories. Like nothing is like 300 pages, which I can usually finish in like a day. It's always been these sort of like really big things and like more philosophical things as well. That's one of the books I read on my e-reader just now. So I've been reading quite a bit of like hefty things, I feel, and it therefore like doesn't make a lot of sense for me to be like moving on from book to book to book. But yeah, this is definitely on the TBR for very, very soon. And then the next book I want to share with you is what I will be reading next. So like I said, I'm almost done reading another book. It's about 150 pages that I have left, so I hope to be able to finish it today. And in September, I read One Dark Window by Rachel Gillick. I thought this was also going to be like vampires, but it wasn't. But I did really like it. I raced through this. It was a really quick, fast-paced read, and I really wanted to read the next book in this series once I like finish this one. This one, it's about a girl, and she's special. And in this world, if you're her kind of special, you're actually killed by the kingdom because they're afraid of the magic powers that come with it. And that's why her dad hid her when she was a girl with her aunt and uncle who lived in the forest. And the magic system in this world is very much tied into like, almost like, I feel like they're like tarot cards or something like that. And you can like, if you have that card, you can wield its power, but the power also costs. And it's about like rich families who try to have these cards, and who like, if the person who finds all the cards will unite the kingdom and that sort of thing. And she gets drawn into this, and she did something when she was a kid that means she has a certain power, and she, in this book, finds out what that power actually means and what it is and what it's going to cost her. And therefore, I cannot wait to read what the second book in this series, it's a duology, so it's only 2 books, like what will happen to her now in the second book, now that that twist has happened in the first one. So this is a story that I really enjoyed. It was super fast paced. It did feel like that sort of like standard romantasy, sort of like, ooh, I'm not like other girls kind of thing, but I do feel it has a unique spin on it, and I really enjoy the magic system in this. And it has a level of like dark undertones to it that makes it like feel a little bit darker, and I don't know. Plus, I do like the sort of match we're sort of served. I kind of like them together. Like, the chemistry works, which is very often in romantasy stories. I'm like, I wouldn't call this romantasy per se. Like, the romance isn't the focal point of the story either, so that's why. But it definitely falls into the list, like, dark fantasy with a hint of romantasy sort of vibe that has been making the rounds online a lot. So yeah, I do really enjoy both of these books, I hope. So I can't wait to read the second one. Now that I look at this, like, it's only a paperback, but still, it's like 400 plus pages. So, but this is going to be my next week's read. So 2 Twisted Crowns. I hope to have this finished sometime this week as you're watching this video, because I can't wait to read the second book in this series. Then a book I picked up last year, and I think there's a follow-up to this, like a sequel out now as well. It's by Ellie Hazelwood, and it's Bride. And this is apparently about a girl who's like a vampire, or she's a werewolf. I never know. Anyways, it's vampires and werewolves fighting with each other, and she has to marry her opponent to sort of make peace. And there are certain things going on. I've heard loads of mixed reviews about this, though. But I saw this on a table at Waterstones last year, and I was like, did I? Yeah, I think I bought it last year. So I thought, might as well read it. Again, it has this, like, gothic-y vibe to it. It was also, like, on a table with lots of other, like, darker fantasy sort of stories. So thought I might like it, but I definitely wait with these things for the hype to die down, because then I know I can really sort of make up my own mind about it. That's always what I like to do. This is not a priority for me, though. This is one of those books where I feel I can pick it up whenever. I don't really feel the need to be picking it up anytime soon. I just know Two Dark Crowns first, then Bury Our Souls in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab, and then I think I need to read the final book in the, what's it called? Crescent City series by Sarah J. Maas. Like, I still need to read the third one. And when I finished reading the second one this summer, I was like, oh, I need to read the third one really quickly. But those books are also like 800 plus pages. And I always feel like with all of these really bigger like books, there's always this slog in the middle. Like, I really like the beginning of the story. I like the ending of the story. But in the middle, and the Sarah J. Maas books do that as well. But yeah, this is another one where I'm like, could be a good palate cleanser in between, if that's what I fancy. And finally, a book I just finished reading myself, so whenever I do a wrap-up again for you, this will be featured, and it's the We Solve Murders story by Richard Osman. Richard Osman is also the author of the Thursday Murder Club, that also has had a new book just out, but I like these kind of like cozy mystery sort of stories for the fall time as well. That's another book I want to read before the end of the year. I already purchased that as well. The 5th book in the Thursday Murder Club. But this came out last year. I picked it up when I was in Edinburgh, and I just hadn't gotten around to reading it yet. I got it as a hardback because it was the only thing they had at the time. This was super fast-paced, super easy read as well. And it was cute. It was a very lovely story, but I do feel that the characters in this novel feel very similar to the characters we get in the Thursday Murder Club, so I don't feel it's super distinct. Like, this book kind of feels like it exists in the same world, even though the characters don't meet each other, but that could have been a good spin if this had like a crossover between the Thursday Murder Club as well. Essentially, we meet a woman who like works for a security agency. So if you're rich enough and people come after you, you can hire this company and she will give you like a personal bodyguard sort of protection. She's been trained in this. She's super clever and she can do a lot. And she is currently on a job where she is guarding this rich woman who is a crime novelist from the 80s. And she's been threatened because in her latest crime novel, she has mentioned someone who resembles someone in real life, and that person is now after her. So therefore, our main character is sort of put on her. But then as push comes to shove, it turns out that there's another conspiracy going on, and that there's a couple of things going on behind the scenes, and now people want to get her killed. Enter Steve. Steve is her father-in-law. She's married to a man who's barely mentioned, actually, in the story, which is weird. But Steve is an ex-cop who lives in this small town in England, and he's lost his wife, and he has a certain routine that he really, really enjoys. And then, of course, through fate, Steve ends up helping his daughter-in-law to solve the murder, and they decide to start a crime-solving, like, private detective agency at the end of the book, which they call We Solve Murder, so that's where the title comes from. It's cute, it's cozy, it had some, like, chuckling, like, tongue-in-cheek sort of moments that I really enjoyed, but like I said, if you've already read Thursday Murder Club, this is not going to feel very distinct. It is very fast-paced. If you don't like British humor, you're not gonna like it. It has a lot of these, like, undercurrents, and I think with this, it's also going to help if you understand, like, British popular culture a bit, because there are, like, loads of references in this to, like, TV shows and game shows and things that also have happened in, like, British cultural history. So if you don't really know how that works, then I don't think you're going to enjoy this all that much. I definitely think you need a little bit of, like, contextual information, because it's not given, it's just assumed that you know what certain, like, football clubs are called, or what certain, like, TV shows from, like, the 90s were called and stuff like that. So if you don't have that sort of knowledge, I don't think you're going to get a lot of the references and sort of the jokes that are in here. But yeah, it is very enjoyable. If there's a new one in this series, I would read it as well. It just cozy mystery fantasy. If that's what you like as well, you will really enjoy this. And there you have all of the books that I would want to recommend as like fall reads that I either want to get to myself or that I think that if you have that book as well, you might really enjoy, depending on what you like. It's definitely like the darker, spookier season, and those are the kind of books that I enjoy the most. So we all know there's always plenty on my shelf that are either fantasy or dark fantasy or gothic inspired that I still need to get to. So I did really enjoy a lot of these books here already, and there's like a good 5 of them or something that I would like to get to sometime soon as well. So thanks so much for being here today. Let me know in a comment down below. I am back with regular videos. I had vacation last week and I did have this idea to film this video, but I couldn't wrap my head around like the type of books I wanted to recommend, and then I was like, I ran out of time to film, and I was like, you know what? It's okay. I have vacation. It's fine. They won't mind it if there isn't a new video every single week, but I'm back and we will have regular videos coming your way for the foreseeable future because I have loads of plans. We're going to do like a shoe collection thing. I want to do another week in outfits. So if you want to see the rest of this sweater, then that's going to come up in a couple of weeks as well. And I did film another like color with me. I actually bought like this entire fall vacation has been like getting ready for winter for me. Like I cleaned my house, I reorganized things, and I got a new tripod that I can attach to my table where I do like journaling and where I do my coloring. So I tested it out to see if that overhead filming position is a little bit better, and if the footage is okay, I will be filming, like I will be showing you that in a future video. I'm not sure if it's going to be next week's video yet, but it's something that I then have on hand, like if I don't have inspiration or I don't have time to film, because I'm going to be really busy in the next couple of months with either work and also fun things. Like I just have a really busy social calendar up until the end of the year as well during the weekend. So this way I know I have a video like ready to go that I can just edit. If there is a gap like there was last week, I think it's good for this channel to have something that I can like have on the back burner and that I can just show you whenever. So yeah, thanks so much for being here today. Thumbs up this video if you liked it, and I will be back with a new video next week. See you then. Bye-bye.